The Mickey Mouse Club debuts on ABC TV network in the USA, and 70mm projection is introduced with theatrical release of the musical Oklahoma. The year is 1955, and this Ford Fairlane Town sedan could be had at your local Ford dealer. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that gives background and perspective on cars that were machines. We talk history, specs, and most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds of interest, a channel that you'll totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This 1955 Ford Fairlane Town sedan is currently for sale at Classic Automall, Morgantown, Pennsylvania, with over 1,000 cars for sale when recording this video. This place is like dying and going to car heaven if you are into cars. It's open to the public, anybody can peruse their inventory, financing and shipping available for directions, hours of operation, and for more information, pictures pertaining to this very car, be sure to click the link below after the show. 1955 Ford model lineup. Ford full-size cars were broken down into main line, custom line in the center, Fairlane at the top, wagons both in 6-passenger and 8-passenger, 2-door and 4-door configurations. Ford also released the Thunderbird, which was to compete with the Corvette. Ford also had a truck line that went from half-ton all the way up to the big commercial. Ford would offer the Fairlane from 1955 through 1970, full-size car from 1955 through 1961, and then they went to the mid-size car market from 1962 through 1970 in 7 generations. 1955 falls in the first generation, which was produced for 2 years, 1955, 1956. The Fairlane replaced the Ford Crestline and was Ford's top shelf offering. Could be had as a 2-door sedan, 2-door Sunliner convertible, 2-door Crown Vic, 2-door Victoria, 2-door Crown Victoria Skyliner with the trick plexiglass tinted see-through roof. Ford was all new for 1955, so let's compare 1954 on the top, 1955 on the bottom, starting in the front. Everything is different, and yet if you look at the shells, they look very similar in my opinion. The hood on the 55 seems to have a lower profile. Turn signals are bigger on the 55. 55 is the first year for Ford to sport that wraparound windshield. Mirrors are mounted on the fenders, whereas they're on the A-pillar on the 54, but this car only has mirrors on the passenger side for some reason. Very weird. Headlights on the 55 have visors versus recessed on the 54. Badging is also different. Moving to the side profile, trim is different between these two. Rectangular vent windows on the 55 versus triangular ones on the 54. The 55 has rocker trim where the 54 doesn't. The 54 has a fender bulge. 55 has fender skirts. Both have wraparound back glass. Moving aft, bumpers are different, but look how similar they are at the same time. Well, I guess if you take a minute and you study them, they are different. Backup lights on 55 just above the brake lights. Also notice how different these two are rear profile. Moving inside to take a gander at the dash, both use the Astra dial, but the buttons are arranged different. Which one do you like better? Let's talk specs. 198.5 inches long, 75.9 inches wide. It rides a wheelbase of 115.5 inches. It weighs 3,245 pounds. Price $2,200, which is equivalent to you spending $25,180, 64 cents in the year 2024. Total 1955 Ford production was 1,451,157 units, of which total Fairlane was 626,250 units, and of that number, Town Sedan, they produced 254,437 units. Moving on to engines, which there were 2. Starting out in the basement, 223 cubic inch displacement, overhead valve, inline six, 3.7 liters. It's good for 120 horsepower at 4,000 RPM, 195 pound-feet, or 264 newton meters at 2,000 RPM, with a bore of 3.6 inches and a stroke of 3.6 inches. Compression was 7.5 to 1, 4 main bearings when backed. With a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 15.9 seconds. Theoretical top speed of 88 miles per hour while achieving an average fuel economy rating of 14.8 miles to the gallon. And these are all just jumping off points, just a place to start. Mileage may vary. Moving on to the biggest, baddest engine on offer for this car this year, 272 cubic inch displacement, Y-block, 4.5 liters. It was offered with a 2-barrel carburetor, producing 162 horsepower, or the Power Pack, which was a 4-barrel carburetor, which made 20 horsepower more, 182 horsepower at 4,400 RPM, 261 pound-feet, or 354 Newton meters at 2,400 RPM, with a bore of 3.6 inches and a stroke of 3.3 inches. Compression was 7.6 to 1. 5 main bearings with the Power Pack, which was the 4-barrel variety. 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 is 11.4 seconds. Theoretical top speed 101 miles per hour while achieving an average 13.1 miles per gallon. Transmissions, you had 3-speed manual with overdrive, or the 3-speed Ford-O-Matic. This Ford-O-Matic didn't work in the traditional sense of a 3-speed. You could only get first gear if you shifted it in low. If you put it in drive, you start out in second gear. Let's talk chassis. Ball joint front suspension, new angle posed ride. Frame has this Husky K-bar member for added rigidity. Hotchkiss drive, so it doesn't have a torque tube.
Producer of V8 automobiles, creator and builder of the distinctive new Thunderbird, now announces the 1955 Fords in 4 completely new lines, including the distinguished new Fairlane series. You'll find a fresh concept of styling in every one of Ford's 16 body styles for 55. The years ahead styling of these brilliant new cars is exemplified in this 2-tone Fairlane Town sedan. The broad chrome mesh grille and the forward sweep of the visored headlights, the new wide-angle all-around windshield, the jet-like rear fender and lower deck lid are just a few of the new features of every 1955 Ford. The Crown Victoria, with its exciting new application of chrome trim. The Ford Sunliner, which, like all Fords for 55, features brilliant new interior styling. The Country Squire, one of 5 versatile beauties in the expanded Ford station wagon line. And whichever Ford you choose, you'll enjoy new riding comfort with Ford's angle-poised ball joint front suspension. You'll have the exciting response of trigger torque power with Ford's new high-torque Y-block V8 engine. Get personally acquainted with the 1955 Fords now on display at your Ford dealers.
Oh, let's talk styling. Just look at this headlight. Also notice the bezel. It almost acts like a hood. In ways, this almost looks like a knight's helmet. Especially when you come around the side here and you see that. It's very interesting. Got the turn signal indicators here. Notice all of the different textures and lines going on. Bumpers and how they are designed. This car has 2 bumper guards and or overriders. The grille, notice it's concaved. It almost looks like a wave. And that comes to a point there in the center. Beautiful Fairlane badge and Ford crest. This hood is relatively smooth, but it does have a center line that goes towards the single piece wraparound windshield. It does have a mascot here and or hood ornament. So look at these stainless steel pieces. And just look at how they swoop down the side. Look at this line. These fenders aren't flared, they're more or less rolled underneath. It does have this protrusion. This car does have rocker molding that runs in between the wheels. This car also has side mirrors which are mounted to the front fenders. It has one on the driver's side as well as passenger side. Opposing windshield wipers. This one does have the windshield washer feature. Just look at the stainless around the base of the windshield. This car has drip rails. That run the length of the car. Just look at the molding. This car has fender skirts. Also notice gravel guards, as well as the fender skirts do flare out ever so slightly. So look at this line. Starts right about here. This car does have fins. Also, just look at how these rear brake lights are designed. Look very Thunderbird-esque. Bumpers, bumperettes, and or overriders. This is just painted. So if you ever wondered that, it's just painted. Fairlane with Ford badging. The trunk is also relatively smooth. Notice this door is framed all the way around. Also, just take a gander at all of the different colors and materials. Starting with the bottom, it feels like a vinyl material, textured vinyl material. Same with up here. Bright bars to separate colors. There's like 4 colors going on with this door, not counting the bright work. You have a teal, then like a seafoam green. This looks like a different color green. White. And then another kind of green, or almost a teal. Armrest as well as door handle to pull the door shut. Door handle to get out. Window crank for the big window. Operates like this. Vent windows, which operate like this. This one has the door lock on the top. Coming down inside, the pedal box down here, you have high beam switch, brake pedal, gas pedal, hand brake, emergency brake, parking brake, hand brake. Just take a look at this interior. Here is what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood would look like. On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left and moving right. Windshield wipers, headlights, key/ignition, left air vent, left turn signal indicator, speedometer, which is astrodial style, odometer, gasoline gauge. Both the oil and amp meter are idiot lights in the center. Coolant temperature, right turn signal indicator, lighter, choke, drive modes, read, park, reverse, neutral, drive, low, Ford's magic air system, heat and ventilation controls, fan blower speed at the bottom. Notice low is on the left, off is in center, high on the right. Radio, clock, ashtray is located just under the magic air system ventilation settings.
Up above, there are sun visors. They're a bit on the huge side. Look how big those are. Rear view mirror in center, another sun visor over there. Doesn't have the cutout per se, but they are tapered. Doesn't affect the rear view mirror when both of these are in place. Underneath the steering wheel, there is tons of room to put my hand in between my lap and the steering wheel. The only reason I show that is because if you wear size 36 pants like I do, you will fit in this car beautifully. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here is my hand for reference. Here is the glove box in question. Look at that, fits in there no problem at all. And there's tons of room to spare. And it shuts. Also, something very interesting to point out. This door handle doesn't have a door pad, but the rear one does. So how about that? Here is what the door panel looks like in the back. Just notice this whole section here, which meets right there. Same colors as up front. Armrest, as well as door handle to pull the door shut. Door handle to get out. Window crank for the big window, which operates like this. And it only took about 2.5 cranks to go completely down. Just take a look at this. The space back here. Here is what the front looks like from the back. Let's take a quick gander at the greenhouse, or the pillar to glass ratio, which is really nice in this car. This is what visibility looks like out the back from the back seat. There is a pretty big parcel shelf right behind this seat. Let's talk creature comforts. There are coat hooks on both sides. There's one there on the passenger side. There is a dome light in the middle. And then there is a coat hook on the driver's side. There's also an ashtray located on the seat back in front of you. Let's talk about the seat back. Let's talk about the seat back profile. It does recline back here. It also bulges out a little bit in the center. The seat itself is relatively, it does dip down a little bit, but it's not bad. And this is what my knee situation looks like. I'm 6'2", full grown adult back here, and I got tons of room. This is what I look like sitting in the back of the 55 Ford. I got tons of headroom. And yes, I got a fro on my head for cars with hats, like this car. My fro isn't obstructed by a small roof line. I'm not hunched over back here. This car would be perfect if you have a bunch of friends, car friends, and you want to drive your guy friends, girlfriends, whatever, friends that are into cars to a car show. You could fit 6 people in this thing, no problem. You could fit 3 people back here, and possibly 4 if they're on the slender side. Coming to the under the hood section, the hood release is right there. It's all one motion. Just notice this one does have 2 horns. One's located right there. The other one is located right down inside there. Beautiful Y-block Ford V8. Heater box with duct work. There's the starter solenoids right here. 6-volt battery. radiator, oil bath air cleaner up on top. This one does have the windshield washer bag. Single brake master cylinder. It's not power assisted. So notice there's vents cut into this. Is this for battery ventilation? Because it doesn't have it on this side. Notice the coil mounted right there. Distributors in the back on this one. Generally Fords are in the front. Also, check out the exhaust situation. Notice it doesn't go down. It connects both sides on top. Also, the Y block has a spin-on oil filter. It's way down inside there.
On the positive side, spacious both front and rear. Camera fits in the glove box. Easy to read gauges. Bright and colorful color options out there. In my opinion, these have aged really well. Against it, still overshadowed by whatever Chevy was making at the time. Y-block, top oiling issues. Moving on to Would You Rather. Two scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1955 Plymouth Belvedere or 1955 Ford Fairlane, or 1955 Chevy Bel Air? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario, 1955 Rambler, or 1955 Ford Fairlane, or 1955 Willis Arrow. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. I don't say that for self-worth. I say that because this is more than a car channel. This is a car community that I'm very much a part of. We have a Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. I call it the After Party. It gives you the opportunity to share your rides, stories, experiences. Anything car related is a go on there. If you don't have Facebook and would still like to reach me, maybe something more intimate, something more private, maybe you have a car in your personal collection that you would love for me to come up and feature on the channel, send me an email. All of that information will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate everything that you guys bring in the comment section. And until next time, toodaloo!